Okay, question number 3. What's the most valuable investment advice you've ever received, Dale?
So I think it would be around investing, in your education. In fact, how I started my journey actually was that when I was 18 years old, I went along to a money expo.
Okay.
Basically, what had happened was I was a pretty good saver as a kid, and I had a part-time job since the age of 15. And actually, before that, I even worked for my dad because my dad ran a small business, and so I started working for him when I was maybe 12 or 13, and he just used to give me a little pay packet. And so, I'd saved up that money. And then when I was 15, I got a better job. And so I'd saved up, I had about 8 or 9 grand. And I thought to myself, well, what am I going to do with this money? And I could either just leave it in the bank. And at the time, I was getting like whatever, 3 or 4% interest. Now it's like 0% interest. But anyway, so I went along to this money expo, and this lady kind of like jumped out from the stand, and she's like, "Hi." And I said, "Hi." And she's like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I'm thinking about investing." And I think it was because, I was 18 years of age, and I probably was, I don't know if I even was in my school uniform when I kind of went there. But I definitely stood out and didn't look like, all the other, brokers and stuff like that walking around, in suits. And so, I told her basically my story. I'd saved up this money. I'm thinking about investing it. I was looking at these like Colonial First State, managed fund. And I was like, this guy was like, "Oh, look, you can get 16% and look at this fund and look at this fund." And I was looking
Yeah.
through all these prospectuses and stuff like that. And this is before the days you go online and put in, money in an ETF and kind of do it all yourself. It's so easy now to actually,
Yeah.
with these low cost index funds. But before that, it was managed funds were all of the rage. And so, and she said to me, "Look, you want some advice?" I said, "Yes." She goes, "You're so young. You got so much life and so much potential. If I was you, I would invest it, half of it at least, in yourself and to educate yourself. Because if you can invest up here, you can make millions." And so that's when I went along to this. I went along to a wealth creation course. Right, it was
Mm.
4 days, and the first 3 days were all about mindset, all about personal development.
Right.
And that's where I met my now wife, Catherine. She was doing
Oh,
the
right.
course at the same time. And so we were kind of like, doing this course, and then we kind of started working for the company, and we became like part of the support crew and stuff like that. And that's probably the best decision that I ever made, because that sent me on like this whole other path and trajectory where I was learning from other successful people. And then from that moment on, any guru that came to town, Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Brandon Bays, like anyone that was successful, I would go along to their events. And sometimes I'd just, rock up and, pay my $100 and sit in the audience. And other times I'd invest in, their CDs or DVDs, or if they had a workshop, that was a couple of grand, I would invest in that. And that's completely changed my life. I probably invested $500,000 now in education and courses and training, but
Wow.
as a result, I've, generated over 50 million in terms of, business income. So it's the best decision I think I ever got, was investing in myself.
In terms of education, I agree. Like investing in education is huge, and part of the business blueprint, right? That's actually probably been one of my best investments. Is it's going to your program. I'm not just saying because you're here, but it's like the $5,000, whatever I paid per annum, right, has paid off so much many times, to the point now. Not just from what I learned from you, but also just even the clients. The clients, we've got some clients now that generate like 50 times my fee to pay you, but also the mental side as well, which I love from the program as well. And that's why I've been there for 10 years. It's I still get something out of it and I guess when you get a big enough business, you only need to learn one little thing that will pay for the program fee, right? And things like Google AdWords change so often, so you kind of get someone back every 2 years for a Google AdWords, and now it's AI, right? And now
Mm,
it's that stuff's just blowing my mind, and I'm sure it's
yeah.
blowing your mind. I know you're all over it, right? In fact, funny story. When ChatGPT first came out, I went, "This is insane," right? And I don't know if you know, but there's an ETF called Robots, right, which is just basically invests in anything related to artificial intelligence, whether it be the chips. Like that's the biggest component is the chips that power it,
Mm.
right? And they've gone mad.